Hey everybody, I am back starting the spooky Halloween season early today with my reviews. If someone's got to cover, I cannot do it in just one single month, but it's at the end of September, so I might as well get to jump on it. So, I want to start off with some Scooby-Doo stuff because I put on the list at the end of the year last year, and I was like, okay, I want to start off something fun this year. So I mean, covering Scooby Doo on Zombie Island, The Witch's Ghost, and Cyber Chase in terms of Scooby Doo related content. And as a matter of fact, I should consider, because there's been Scooby Doo comics, and a couple of them have been like really leaning into the whole horror aspect. I should review a couple of those comics. Uh, just don't know when, but it's something I'm considering. But anyway, uh, the Scooby Doo animated films, at least the first three, have done reasonably well, especially Zombie Island, which set the tone. But over time, they gotten like less away from it because they were direct to DVD type of films. But as you will see as I cover this film, things have gone progressively less in terms of like what people behind the scenes were allowed to do. Because eventually there's one with like they teaming up with like Kiss and John Cena and things. They kind of like really like leaning into the whole kiddie aspect of it, which Scooby Doo is malleable, but you kind of take away the horror aspect of it, then it's just like you're just watching like a basic cartoon, and it's kind of like you're taking away the edge of Scooby Doo. Now, of course, they've always been like geared towards kids, but if you watch like older Scooby Doo cartoons, or even like What's New Scooby Doo, which is like a reinvention of the Scooby Doo story, they still have like a bit of the creepy mystery in some cases. And I still remember, like, as a kid watching those older reruns, a lot of those, monsters, even though they were guys in masks, they were kind of freaking scary. Especially that freaking clown. It still bothers me to this day because it was the first time they actually did like POV shots where you looking at directly at that freaking clown's face. It's horrific, man. Uh, then you get like the snow ghosts, the space ghosts, not space ghosts coast to coast, different space ghosts. Um, Minor 49er. There's a lot of classic, Scooby Doo villains. Matter of fact, now that I'm thinking about it, well, maybe it's probably too much because I haven't seen all of Scooby Doo. I remember watching the classics, but What's New Scooby Doo, I cannot recall any of the, because they don't like the villain of the week with those, like they don't stick out the same way as like the Creeper or the Minor 49 or anything like that. I don't know why they, the classic ones stick with you more so than anything that came after. Maybe it's me, but it's just that I don't know if they lean into the creep factor, that probably sticks with you more so than anything else. If they'd gone the other way, that's probably why it sticks so much. But anyway, and then of course, ironically, James Gunn started the live action Scooby-Doo film, which did not do so well. But I think over time, people have grown to appreciate that because of the actors involved. Which maybe next year I'll start covering the live action, the first live action one, maybe the sequel too. But even with the live action ones, they become even more stupid, even more campy, that I just, kind of fall off completely on that kind of stuff. Uh, uh, but Scooby-Doo should not lose their edge to it, because otherwise it's like, what's the point? Oh my god, I didn't even notice. I'm just pulling this up right now. They actually did like a return to Zombie Island back in 2019. I didn't even know that. I gotta look into this like after this video, because this like, did not even know this was a thing. Anyway, so we got Scott Innes as Scooby-Doo, Billy West as Shaggy Rogers, because eventually Matthew Lillard pretty much became the synonymous actor who does Shaggy in all its interpretations. Mary Kay Bergman as Daphne Blake, Frank Wecker as Fred Jones, B.J. Ward as Velma Dinkley. We got Andrine Barbeau as Simone Lenore, Tara Scherendorf as Lena Dupree, or Tara Strong. I guess she eventually got married and took the guy's last name. So it kind of threw me off for a minute. Cam Clark as Detective. I'm gonna leave that. Jim Cummings as Jacques. Anyway. We got like an incredible introduction of this film, where we're thrown into the mystery, or at least them wrapping up the mystery of the this monster in this castle, and we get this kick-ass rendition of the Scooby-Doo theme song, one of the most classic theme songs in all of TV show era. Who did a Third Eye Blind? I think that's the rock band who did their own rendition of the Scooby-Doo "Where Are You" song. And I gotta say, because I've written down some notes, because I binge watched these first three movies back to back, so I made sure I did not forget certain notes. Like, the soundtrack in this entire film is done spectacular. I'll go over them as they come along, but the rendition of the Scooby-Doo "Where Are You" theme song, very well done. The animation by far is top notch. Same thing with The Witch's Ghost, but as Cyber Chase moving forward, they obviously you can just feel the budget restraints, because like it's just like they stop trying with it. Like, they feel like, why bother? They don't really deserve so much of the budget. It's just like, okay. But the animation in Zombie Island is very, very well done, especially with like certain transitions and like just the pencil art. All that stuff is very well done. Especially with utilizing the shadows and like things like just kind of highlights certain horror elements here. The acting in this is like it's like it's like almost like thespian in a way, where it's like that they gave 100% in this. Like, they treat it like, oh, this is like a movie kind of thing. And they don't shy away from the edges, in this film. It's like they're gonna be dealing with like some serious, carnage here, man. God. But anyway, they end up solving the mystery, unmasking the guy, And it's like, I would have gotten away with it too if it wasn't for you meddling kids. And I love the whole thing where it kind of annoys them, where the fact that these people will be in like their mid to late 20s at this point. It's like, we're not kids. What the heck are you talking about? And but that is funny, but this gimmick got on my nerves where they point out Scooby-Doo being the dog, and it's like, dog? Where? And it's like, that's probably fun that one time that it happened, but every time, and it's like Scooby-Doo is so dense, the fact that you're the only dog here. It's like, do you actually think you're a person? But you actually think you're a person. You know, you're a talking animal, which boggles the mind that people don't really, kind of like bring that up. They just kind of accept it. I think there's like a comic that kind of do their own interpretation of why Scooby is able to talk, and I think it's some kind of alien type of thing going on, but that's just one interpretation. At least it's from what I've heard from other people reviewing a particular Scooby-Doo comic. But anyway, the gang eventually kind of like disbanded because they kind of got bored traveling around solving mysteries, and none of them were actually like real monsters. Always some kind of guy trying to scam or scare people off for some kind of monetary gain or something like that. But Fred and Daphne decided to become television personalities, kind of like, going around trying to, at least kind of like a docu-series about their exploits and things of that nature. Called Coast to Coast with Daphne Blake. Velma runs a bookshop while Shaggy and Scooby are, TSA agents, I guess. Like a drug sniffing hound. And of course, and looking for any contraband outside of food, which they ultimately eat, was not obviously a good thing for them to be involved in. But Fred comes up with the idea for a good birthday present for Daphne, where it's been a while, but they get the gang back together again in order to go on this trip to try to find some actual real hauntings. And seemed like a good idea for the gang to get involved in, because over the years we got like ghost hunters and people. I did a review on Beetlejuice 2 where like Lydia becomes kind of like a ghost hunter in a way and film her, all these different types of hauntings and what have you. And it's like, this is kind of an ideal career for the Scooby-Doo gang, because it's like, yeah, they actually, try to find some actual real life, paranormal stuff. So yeah, this is kind of like a good fit for them. So they go on a road trip, heading towards New Orleans, and you get this like, cool montage, under like, it was like a song called like, I guess the ghost is here. Yeah. Which, they don't try with the music like that in the later films. Except for Witch's Ghost. But like after that, it's like, yeah, they don't need to go out with like music like that. Which is a shame, because I don't know, when they give it their all when making these kind of direct-to-movie things. Same thing with like the Pokemon, the first movie, even though that has got the actual release. But the music behind, at least the first one, really kind of set the tone. Because like, yeah, this is important to a lot of people and we're fans of this ourselves, so we're going to like try to make something with this. So while in New Orleans, because, well, the montage was them, going to places where they think is some legit hauntings, but once again, like always, which kind of bothers Daphne, where it's like, once again, it's another creep in a costume trying to scare people off kind of gimmick, which is a nice little, what do you call it? Like a making fun of itself kind of situation where it's like, once again, like we're dealing with the same stuff we always deal with, and it's like we want to actually find some actual hauntings for ones. So they're in New Orleans and they come across a woman named Lena Dupree, who works with her employer Simone on Moonscar Island, and mentions to the gang that Moonscar Island is haunted by ghosts, like legit ghosts. So they meet up with Lena's boatman named Jacques, who ferries them to the plantation island, which is where they grow peppers, hot peppers. And of course, Simone has the place filled with cats, which set Scooby off every time you see these cats, which she's annoyed by. But they quickly discover in Lenore's kitchen that this place is haunted because there's some ghostly writing saying like "get out," and then after further inspecting the wall, Velma realized, oh, this part of the house is built on was the lumber and all this other stuff was partly used from this old pirate ship belonging to the pirate Moonscar. And it's this ghostly essence is writing these scribbles. Then, of course, Shaggy and Scooby come across a Confederate soldier ghost. And I'm shocked they didn't. And it's like, it's came out in 1998. And it's like, even back then when I was like, looking at that, it's like, didn't the Confederates were kind of like the bad guys of the South? That it's like, you really want to like drudge up in a Scooby-Doo cartoon movie about Confederate soldiers who fought the North in order to keep slaves. I was like, do you really, like, did you really want to, like, would have been like that hard to just, instead of Confederate, go with Union soldier? Because at the very least it's the good guy side, and you didn't really have to be bothered having to explain that much as compared to a Confederate soldier. But whatever. Once again, trying to scare the gang. But then we come across this gardener named Bo, who Velma suspects might be part of these supposed hauntings. Now, of course, Fred and at least, most of the gang has been skeptical about these supposed hauntings, despite the levitations and the dropness of temperature and things of that sort. Because they'd been dealing with fake monsters over the years, they grew skeptical, which is not too far-fetched for the Scooby-Doo gang, because it's like they got callous with, like, not allowing their imaginations to, just allowing some level of belief in the supernatural, because Like, we all always thought these monsters were real until we were proven otherwise. We've seen people use wires to supposedly levitate. We've seen people use some kind of holograms to appear like they're ghosts and passing through walls. We've seen all sorts of gizmos to simulate a possibility of a haunting or a werewolf or something like that, seemingly. Or use some kind of like dry ice to simulate like some kind of temperature manipulation or something like that. We like they be able to seemingly explain all this kind of stuff away until the gang come across legit zombies, because when nightfall rolls around, that's where the hauntings get the most ramped up, and the spirits inhabit like their skeletal remains, and now they're shocked the fact that, oh my god, these are real zombies. And so we get another cool song, Terror Time Again, which it gets me thinking like, man, I need to create like some kind of soundtrack. Every time Halloween rolls around, I can play some kind of soundtrack. If I have guests or something like that, like a list of songs that I can utilize for like the spooky season and whatnot. I literally made like a list. So in the event I need to make some kind of like if I have guests over or whatever like that, I have something to play over like my phone or something. I got Michael Jackson's Thriller, The Hex Girls, which we'll cover in the next film after this. Hocus Pocus, Sweeney Todd, Beetlejuice, Nightmare Before Christmas, and of course the Scooby-Doo films, and of course the Ghostbusters theme song. Those are the kind of songs I have where it's like, okay, this is like a solid Halloween soundtrack. But then Velma, Bo, Daphne, and Fred come across a secret passage where Lena is hysterical, saying like, oh, Lenore was captured by these zombies and they drug her off, but Velma called Cap immediately, showing her awesome detective skills. Noticing like the footprints. Lenore was not dragged off because I see footprints, not drag marks. So what's really going on? Why are you lying? And earlier, Scooby and Shaggy come across like these wax voodoo dolls of their friends, and soon discovered that Lenore and Lena are werecats along with Jacques, and these zombies or spirits were all their victims over the years. Lenore and Lena were settlers who worshipped this cat god, and them and their people was living in relative peace on this island until the pirate Moonscar and his crew showed up one day, wreaking havoc and sending all but Lenore and Lena to the waters where they were eaten by alligators. Like I said, it's freaking dark. And over their grief, they prayed to their cat god to get rid of these people. So they end up being turned into werecats, which they end up killing and or absorbing these pirates' life essence in order to continue their immortality, which is like a drawback of this curse they brought upon themselves. So every harvest moon, they have to constantly drain the life essence of others in order to sustain their immortality. So eventually, other settlers and other like the Confederates, and then other people came about, which they all drained. Which is turns out these zombies aren't the bad guys. They've been trying to warn them away to avoid any future victims to succumb to the same fate. So they gotta do this ritual at a particular time on this harvest moon. There's literally times nigh. Scooby and Shaggy show up just in time after running away from Jock, who also is a werecat and came to them long ago to try to find a way for immortality. And they need like a ferryman because eventually time changed and people just ain't coming in automatically by happenstance. They need like people, like guaranteed victims. And it's horrific to see all these different types of zombies, each one wearing different era clothes. Like some of them look like people just showing up on vacation, wearing these kind of like Hawaiian type of shirts and stuff, and these like camera holding on to like a strap kind of thing on one of the. It's like it's sad. I was like, oh my god, these people have been doing this for decades, centuries, and just like, and just the whole entire place is filled with just graves upon graves of victims. And so, while trying to combat these werecats, and thanks to the zombies trying to hold them off, they wasted so much time. Now, like the harvest moon, the time has gone by. They missed their chance. So now the power has been stripped away from them. And since they should have been long dead, they immediately turned to skeletons and died. And it's like horrific. You get to see like them just evaporating and time just eating them alive in seconds. And now that their the zombies go away, now their spirits have been avenged, so now they can finally rest in peace. And you see this Confederate guy just like his spirit just salutes Scooby like, thank you, y'all. And I kind of sort of feel empathy because despite the fact that these pirates and the Confederates probably did some horrific stuff and they're probably going to hell. And that's, you're resting in peace, all right, in hell, because you probably done some horrific stuff in your life. So I wouldn't be that appreciative because you probably know where you're gonna go. But incidentally, they didn't deserve to get mauled or killed in probably horrific ways by these werecats, and it's like probably didn't deserve all that. Especially like these innocent people who didn't know, are just trying to live a life and discover new areas to settle and stuff like that, and then they come across these monsters. It's horrific. Kudos to this movie who doesn't shy away from like the horrors. And it's a shame that Daphne didn't have the video recordings that Fred has been trying to capture, but got synced into one of the quicksands. But Bo, who was an undercover FBI agent this entire time, and I'm pretty sure who was voiced by Cam Clark, who I'm pretty sure is also the voice for Chris Redfield, because it sounds like Chris Redfield from Resident Evil. 'cause I gotta see. Because I feel like there is. Because, man, he sounds similar to him. Huh, maybe not. Maybe it just sounds, very similar in my ears. I was like, man, like, is that Chris Redfield? Nah, nope, not the same. It kind of feels like it though. Anyway, but Bo is there because he's been investigating in this area because over the years there's been like a mountain of case of unsolved disappearances in this particular area. And so he's been, pretending to be like the local gardener and trying to dig up a case to see like what happened. I was like, how long you been here? And you haven't found nothing. And it's like, if you've been here, just assume you've been here for a couple of weeks so far. You didn't like notice zombies? Because how often do they rise up from the grave in the middle of the night? Or at the very least, see the spirits or all these like strange occurrences. How is it that you did not come across any of this stuff? Sure, you might have eluded the whole Harvest Moon situation, so you probably avoided that fate. But you're around, and it's like, okay, you gotta have captured some kind of footage or something. Because where's your like spy gizmos to secretly record certain things? It's kind of weird. You're not a very good FBI agent. And of course, Velma is smitten with this guy. But he's somehow not around in the sequels. And it's like, whatever happened to that? And it's still kind of personally, like, I find like needless to try to make Velma, a lesbian and stuff like that in recent years. And it's like, why? You're pushing something that isn't really there, or you're trying to force something that isn't really there. Because Velma, in some cases, had a good thing for Shaggy, and those two probably would have wound up together in a lot of cases. Or you got some cases like here with Bo, or other stuff. It's been precedent with Velma being a straight woman. So, this is my take on this kind of thing. But, yeah. And now Daphne think like, oh, we can have Bo as a guest star as to interview about these cases. Like, yeah, but it's hard for you to sell this if you don't have any kind of evidence to prove that there were legit werecats, zombies, and ghosts. So all you got is just circumstantial evidence or hearsay. Nobody's going to buy this, and I'm shocked that you will even get any kind of series pickup or anything like that, because, like, why will people believe you at all? But, yeah, but that was Zombie Island. I mean, it's a hell of a lot of fun. I love the dark tones to this. The theme songs, it still kicks ass. The voice acting is top notch. This movie it still holds up. It's done very well over the years. As it's easily one of the Halloween classics every year for a reason. And probably like the best Scooby-Doo movie of all time, in all honesty. Even better than any live action films that try to do this. I think Witch's Ghost is a close second. Which segues perfectly. That will be my next movie review. But let me know in the comments below what you think of Scooby-Doo on Zombie Island. Does it hold up for you? Have you seen it recently? But yeah, great mystery. But this time you're actually dealing with like authentic creatures of the supernatural. So I love that, finally we're dealing with something like this, because it's the first time they're actually dealing with some legit uh supernatural creatures for the first time, and it's scary as all hell. And moving forward, in many interpretations of Scooby-Doo, sure, they still deal with like just people in costumes, but every once in a while there's still a realm of supernatural looming somewhere in the background or overhead or something like that, you know that still permeates that, where it kind of becomes part of Scooby-Doo moving forward. Whereas like, yeah, it's still living in a world where like the supernatural still exists, in running in tandem with just people pretending. So I think that is a good part of the lore of Scooby-Doo. But anyway, I will see you guys in a little bit as I cover Scooby-Doo and the Witch's Ghost. So let me know in the comments below what you think of Scooby-Doo on Zombie Island. What your favorite things about the movie, what your least favorite things, all that stuff. And I will see you all soon. Peace.